The prenup arrived in my email on a Tuesday morning with a cheerful note from Victoria. Just a formality, darling. All Harrington sign one. My stomach twisted as I scrolled through the 37 pages. I'm Camilla Montrose, 31 years old, and my fiancé's mother had just blindsided me 3 weeks before our wedding. Working as a corporate compliance officer for 8 years had taught me to read between the lines. This wasn't a standard prenup. This was a cage disguised as a legal document. My fingers trembled as I forwarded it to my personal email. Alexander would be furious when he saw this. Or would he? The Harrington family charter hung prominently in Victoria's mahogany-paneled study, a framed document outlining the values and expectations for anyone marrying into their prestigious Boston lineage. Victoria had presented it to me with a thin smile exactly 1 day after Alex proposed. We've maintained our legacy for 7 generations. The charter ensures we continue to do so. I stared at my computer screen in our apartment, the words blurring together. Section 12 stated I would have no claim to any Harrington business interests, even if I directly contributed to their growth. Section 17 limited my financial support if we divorced to a maximum of 1 year, regardless of marriage duration. Section 23 required me to maintain the family's social standing or risk financial penalties. My phone buzzed with Alex's message. Mother wants to meet about wedding details tomorrow. Can you make it? I texted back. The prenup she sent seems extreme. Did you review it? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then, just standard protection. Don't worry about it. But I did worry. Victoria had never approved of me. I wasn't from the right family, didn't attend the right schools. My collection of vintage fountain pens and calligraphy skills didn't impress her like Eliza Winthrop's family connections had. Eliza, Alex's ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago, still received Christmas cards from Victoria. The first time Victoria's disapproval became undeniable was during our engagement dinner at the Harrington estate. 15 family members gathered around a table that could seat 30. Victoria had placed me 7 seats away from Alex. I assume your parents will contribute appropriately to the wedding, Victoria said, her voice carrying across the table, given their circumstances. My parents' messy divorce 10 years ago was apparently common knowledge. Mom, Alex warned, but his voice lacked conviction. I'm simply concerned about expectations, Victoria replied, patting his hand. Weddings in our circle have standards. I'd swallowed my response with a sip of water. Alex looked uncomfortable but said nothing more. The pattern was already established. 2 months later, Victoria excluded me from Christmas planning despite Alex's insistence I should be involved. When I arrived at the holiday gathering, she criticized the dessert I'd brought. Store-bought, Camilla. How convenient. 4 aunts exchanged glances. Actually, I made it from scratch, I replied. Of course you did, dear. Victoria's smile never reached her eyes. Perhaps next time you'll have time for proper decoration. Alex squeezed my hand under the table but said nothing directly to his mother. By spring, the wedding plans became a battleground. I'd created a detailed spreadsheet of venue options, but Victoria claimed she never received it. Alex mentioned you were too busy with work to research venues. I've taken the liberty of booking the Somerset Club. I sent you 3 options last week, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I received nothing, Victoria insisted, turning to Alex. Your fiancé seems confused. Alex frowned. Could you have forgotten to hit send, Cam? That night, I showed Alex the sent email with Victoria's brief acknowledgement. He looked troubled. Maybe she overlooked it. She's managing so many details. She's excluding me deliberately. I said, "That's not fair," Alex replied. "You're being sensitive. Mom wants this wedding to be perfect for us." The incidents multiplied. Victoria scheduled cake tastings during my important work meetings. She accidentally told the florist I preferred roses when I'd specifically requested peonies. She showed the wedding planner photos of Alex and Eliza, commenting on the wedding that almost was. The breaking point came during our engagement party at the Harrington Country Club. Victoria gave a speech before 75 guests. "Alexander has always chosen well," she said, glass raised. "From his first girlfriend, Jennifer, at preparatory school, to his college sweetheart, Eliza, who sadly couldn't be here tonight." She paused dramatically. "And now, Camilla, who brings her unique perspective to our family." The room fell silent. Alex shifted uncomfortably beside me. "To Alexander and his bride," Victoria continued, "may she adapt to the Harrington traditions with grace." My cheeks burned as I felt 75 pairs of eyes on me. Alex's Uncle Richard nodded approvingly at Victoria. His cousin Sophia smirked. Even Alex's childhood friend Thomas looked uncomfortable. "Lovely speech," Alex whispered, squeezing my hand. That night, alone in our bathroom, I finally broke down. The woman I was about to make my mother-in-law had publicly humiliated me, and my fiancé had praised her for it. I stared at my reflection, mascara streaking down my cheeks, and something shifted inside me. I am a compliance officer. I detect irregularities for a living. I spot patterns others miss. My entire career is built on paying attention to details others ignore. The prenup now made perfect sense. It wasn't about protecting family assets. It was about controlling me or driving me away. I wiped my tears and straightened my shoulders. If Victoria wanted to play with legal documents, she'd picked the wrong opponent. The next morning, I called my old law firm colleague, Samantha Weaver. "I need a good family law attorney," I said. "Someone who isn't afraid of old Boston money." "That bad?" Samantha asked. "Worse. The prenup basically says if I don't behave exactly as they want, I get nothing if we divorce, even if we're married 30 years. "Jesus," Samantha breathed. "I know exactly who you need. Diana Chen. She eats prenups like this for breakfast." As I hung up, my phone pinged with an email notification. "Richard Harrington, copying Victoria. Final prenup review meeting scheduled Thursday at 10. All parties must attend." I hadn't been informed of any meeting. I checked my calendar. I had a quarterly compliance presentation to the board at 11. They'd deliberately scheduled when they knew I couldn't attend. I texted Alex immediately. "Did you know about Thursday's prenup meeting?" His reply came an hour later. "Just heard myself. Can you reschedule your work thing? It's important." Something inside me hardened. For months, I'd compromised, apologized, accommodated. I'd believed Alex would eventually see his mother's behavior. But as I stared at his text, I realized he never would, unless I changed my approach. "No," I typed back. "My career matters. We can reschedule the prenup meeting." His response was immediate. "Mother has already arranged for everyone to be there. It would be inconsiderate to change it now." The words on my screen blurred as tears welled up. 3 years with this man, 1 year engaged, and he still couldn't put me first. The Harrington family charter might hang on Victoria's wall, but its rules had seeped into every aspect of our relationship. I wiped my eyes and opened my laptop. If they wanted to play hardball with legal documents, I needed to know exactly what game we were playing, starting with who drafted this prenup. The document properties showed it came from Wallace and Stern, Richard Harrington's law firm. But Richard wasn't a family law specialist. Why was he involved in our prenup? I needed to understand what I was really facing. And I needed to decide if fighting for this relationship was still worth it. The morning of the prenup meeting arrived with a thunderstorm that matched my mood. I stood in our kitchen watching raindrops race down the window, already dressed in my presentation suit. Alexander entered, surprise crossing his face. "You're really not coming to the meeting?" He adjusted his tie, the monogrammed one Victoria had given him last Christmas. "I told you I couldn't." I sipped my coffee, maintaining eye contact. "I've scheduled time with Diana Chen tomorrow to review the document." "You hired a lawyer?" His eyebrows shot up. "Camilla, that seems unnecessary and confrontational." Confrontational is sending a 37-page prenup 3 weeks before our wedding without discussion. My voice remained calm. Confrontational is scheduling a review meeting during my board presentation. "That was a coincidence," Alex insisted, reaching for his travel mug. "Was it? Like the coincidence of your mother booking our venue without consulting me? Or the coincidence of her insulting me at every family gathering? She's traditional, Cam. This is how things are done in our family." I set down my mug. "No, Alex. This is how your mother manipulates situations to maintain control, and you let her." His face hardened. "You're being unfair." "Am I? When have you ever stood up to her when she belittles me?" The question hung between us. Alex checked his watch. "I have to go. Mother doesn't like tardiness." "Of course," I nodded. "Wouldn't want to disappoint Victoria." After he left, I went to my home office and opened my laptop. Instead of reviewing my presentation, I pulled up the prenup file again. Something kept nagging at me about this document. I ran the file through a document analysis tool we used at work. The results surprised me. This prenup had 27 revisions over 2 months. Someone had put significant effort into crafting it. But who? I examined the metadata more carefully. Most revisions came from Richard's account, but 3 originated from Victoria's personal email. That was unusual. Why would the mother-in-law be directly editing a legal document? My phone rang, my boss rescheduling our presentation to next week due to a board member's emergency. For once, luck was on my side. I immediately called Diana. "Can you see me today instead of tomorrow?" I asked. "My schedule just opened up." 3 hours later, I sat in Diana Chen's office, watching her face darken as she read through the prenup. "This is one of the most restrictive agreements I've seen in 15 years of practice," she said, removing her glasses. "These behavior clauses are particularly troubling. Grounds for reduced settlement if you fail to maintain family harmony or publicly contradict family values. These terms are dangerously vague." "Can they do this?" I asked. "They can try." Diana tapped her pen against the document. "But many of these clauses wouldn't survive a court challenge. The problem is, would you have the resources to fight a legal battle against Harrington money?" The question hung in the air. Without access to family funds, probably not. "There's something else bothering me," I said. "Alex's uncle drafted this, not a family law attorney, and his mother made direct edits." Diana's eyebrows rose. "That's highly irregular. Do you have evidence of that?" I showed her the metadata analysis. She studied it, then looked up at me. "Camila, I don't think your fiancé has seen the full document." "What do you mean?" "These types of edits, removing pages, adding conditions after legal review, it's consistent with creating different versions. The groom may have approved a more standard agreement, while you received the expanded version." My mind raced. That would explain why Alex isn't concerned. "I recommend postponing any signing until we can ensure both parties have reviewed identical documents," Diana said. "And frankly, many of these terms need substantial revision." When I returned home, the apartment was empty. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Alex and a text. "Where are you? Everyone's waiting to reschedule the meeting." I didn't respond. Instead, I walked to my desk and pulled out my calligraphy pens. Creative work had always helped me think. As my hands moved across paper, my mind sorted through facts. For 1 hour, I wrote out phrases from the prenup in elegant script, the physical act of writing making the manipulative language even clearer. Victoria wasn't just protecting family assets. She was ensuring I could never truly be independent within this marriage. When Alex finally came home, he found me surrounded by calligraphy pages. "You missed the rescheduled meeting," he said, his tone accusatory. "Mother had to rearrange everyone's schedules twice now." "I met with my attorney instead," I replied, not looking up from my work. "The prenup has serious issues, Alex." "Your attorney?" He sounded incredulous. "Camilla, Richard has managed our family's legal affairs for 35 years. If he drafted it, it's fair." I finally looked up. Is it fair that I'd be penalized financially for publicly contradicting family values? Or that I'd forfeit support if I create disharmony in family relationships? Alex frowned. "What are you talking about?" I handed him the document open to those sections. "Did you actually read all 37 pages?" His face changed as he scanned the text. "These weren't in the version Richard showed me." "Exactly." I stood up. "Your mother and uncle created 2 different versions." "That's a serious accusation," he said, but I could see doubt in his eyes. "Check the document properties yourself." I pulled up the metadata on my laptop. "Victoria made direct edits after your review." As Alex read through the analysis, his shoulders slumped. "I don't understand why they would do this." "Don't you?" I asked gently. "Your mother has been trying to control our relationship from day one." 3 days later, Alex confronted Richard and Victoria at their weekly family dinner. I declined to attend, spending the evening with Samantha instead, drinking wine and rediscovering how it felt to laugh without tension. Victoria denied everything, Alex reported when he returned. Richard claimed it was a clerical error where you accidentally received an early draft. "And you believe that?" I asked. "I don't know what to believe," he admitted, "but I've told them we need a completely new document drafted by a neutral attorney." It was the first time Alex had directly opposed his mother's wishes. The shift was small but significant. That night, he held me closer than he had in months. The next week brought an unexpected development. My quarterly performance review included a surprise announcement. I was being promoted to head of compliance with a 40% salary increase and equity in the firm. "Your handling of the Westlake merger regulatory challenges impressed the board," my CEO explained. "We need that kind of thoroughness heading the entire department." I called Samantha immediately after. "I got the promotion!" "That's amazing!" she exclaimed. "Have you told Alex?" I hesitated. "Not yet." "Why not? This is huge, Cam." "I know, but his family, they've always implied my career was secondary. Victoria once said compliance work was administrative." "All the more reason to celebrate, proving her wrong," Samantha insisted. That evening, I told Alex over dinner. His genuine excitement surprised me. "This is incredible," he poured champagne. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," I said cautiously. "It means I'll be overseeing a team of 12 people. My salary will be comparable to what you made last year." He clinked his glass against mine. "To my brilliant fiancé." Later, when Alex suggested we use my promotion as an opportunity to revisit the prenup discussions, I hesitated. "I don't want them to know yet," I said. "Let's keep this between us for now." "Why?" Alex looked puzzled. "Because I need to decide something first." I took a deep breath. "Whether I still want to be part of a family where I'll always be considered less worthy." Alex's face fell. "Are you saying you want to call off the wedding?" I'm saying I need to be sure that marrying you doesn't mean surrendering my identity to your mother's vision of a proper Harrington wife. My promotion became a turning point. I rediscovered my confidence, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, and resumed practicing calligraphy, something I'd set aside while drowning in wedding preparations controlled by Victoria. I purchased a magnificent antique Waterman fountain pen from 1924 to celebrate my promotion, adding it to my collection. As our wedding date approached, Victoria increased her calls and visits, bringing up the prenup situation constantly. I maintained polite but firm boundaries, redirecting discussions to my attorney. The more I stood my ground, the more desperate Victoria became to regain control. Mother suggested we postpone the wedding until the prenup is settled, Alex said one evening. Is that what you want? I asked. No. His answer came quickly, surprising both of us. I want to marry you, with or without her approval. Those words solidified my decision. I would fight for our relationship, but on equal terms, not as Victoria's subordinate. And to do that, I needed to understand exactly what I was up against. That weekend, while Alex was at his regular squash game, I began digging deeper into the prenup's history. Using my compliance investigation skills, I tracked every email referenced in the document metadata. Most were exchanged between Richard and Victoria, with Alex only receiving certain versions. What I discovered in those exchanges would change everything. 6 weeks after my promotion, my new life had taken satisfying shape. My compliance team respected my leadership. My office now featured a wall displaying my fountain pen collection. My relationship with Alex had evolved. He listened more, defended me against Victoria's subtle barbs, and seemed to be breaking free from her influence. But the wedding remained 3 weeks away, and the prenup situation was still unresolved. Alex had insisted on postponing the signing until we reached an agreement both sides found fair. Victoria had reluctantly agreed, but increased her pressure tactics. Inheritance protection is standard, she argued during Sunday dinner. Even celebrities sign prenups. I have no issue with reasonable asset protection, I replied calmly. I object to behavior clauses and penalties designed to control me. Victoria's smile tightened. No one is trying to control you, Camilla. Then you won't mind removing those clauses, I responded, maintaining eye contact. Richard cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. Actually, I said, setting down my fork, I prefer transparency. The original prenup had 8 behavior-related penalties. That suggests control was exactly the intention. Alex placed his hand over mine on the table. A small gesture, but in front of his family, it spoke volumes. Victoria noticed. Her eyes narrowed slightly before she turned to her longtime friend Margaret Wilson. Margaret, didn't your son write his own prenup? How did that work out? Beautifully, Margaret replied on cue. Catherine understood that protecting family assets wasn't personal. Catherine also received a fair agreement, I noted. I reviewed similar documents for 3 colleagues last year. None contained behavior clauses. Victoria's lips pressed into a thin line. She wasn't accustomed to being challenged, especially not in her own dining room. The Harrington family charter hung on the wall behind her, a constant reminder of the family legacy she guarded so fiercely. Later that evening, Alex and I walked along the Charles River, the city lights reflecting off the water. You stood your ground today, he observed. It was impressive. Is that a diplomatic way of saying I embarrassed you? I asked. Not at all. He stopped, turning to face me. It's made me realize how much I've enabled her behavior. I've never questioned the family dynamics until you came along. And now? Now I'm wondering what else I've accepted without question. He squeezed my hand, including this rushed wedding timeline. His words surprised me. What do you mean? Mother insisted we marry quickly after our engagement. She claimed it was about venue availability, but now I wonder if it was to pressure you into accepting her terms without scrutiny. His growing awareness gave me hope, but I still hadn't shared my most significant discovery: the emails between Victoria, Richard, and James Peterson, the family financial advisor. As our wedding date approached, the pressure intensified. Victoria called daily about urgent wedding decisions. Richard sent revised prenup drafts that still contained problematic clauses hidden in legal jargon. Even Alex's cousin Sophia began reaching out, suddenly interested in building our relationship. 2 weeks before the wedding, Victoria announced a family dinner at the Somerset Club to clear the air about wedding expectations. 23 family members would attend, including distant cousins I'd never met. It feels like an ambush, I told Samantha over lunch. Why invite people who aren't involved in the wedding planning? Show of force, Samantha suggested. Classic intimidation tactic. That night, I decided it was time to show Alex what I'd found. I opened my laptop and pulled up the email folder I'd compiled. "We need to talk about something," I said. Alex set down his book. "You sound serious." "I am." I turned the screen toward him. "These are emails between your mother, Uncle Richard, and James Peterson about our prenup. I found them through the document metadata." "How did you access their emails?" he asked, frowning. "I didn't hack anything," I clarified. "The document history contained direct quotes and timestamps. I used those to request related communications through proper channels." Alex scrolled through the emails, his expression darkening. "This can't be right." "Read the one from March 15th, I suggested. He clicked on it and read aloud. "Victoria, we've incorporated your suggested amendments. The behavioral clauses are now integrated throughout rather than in a separate section, making them less obvious. Alexander has approved the baseline version without these additions." His face paled as he continued reading. "As discussed, this approach gives you maximum leverage should the marriage prove problematic. We can ensure Camilla remains financially dependent regardless of her career progress." Another email from Victoria to Richard stated, "We need to make sure she never has a claim to anything substantial, no matter how long they stay married. Alexander is blinded by infatuation now, but eventually he'll see she doesn't belong in our world." Alex's hands shook as he scrolled further. "The prenup signing should happen as close to the wedding as possible to minimize her opportunity for legal consultation. Schedule it for the morning of the rehearsal dinner." He looked up, devastated. They were deliberately deceiving both of us. "There's more," I said gently. "They've been coordinating with Eliza." "What?" Alex's voice cracked. I showed him an email where Victoria wrote to James. "Eliza understands the situation perfectly. She's willing to reconnect with Alexander once this unfortunate episode concludes. She's always been the right choice for the family." For several minutes, Alex sat motionless, staring at the screen. Then he stood and walked to the window, his back to me. "I can't believe this. My own mother." "I'm sorry," I said. "I debated whether to show you." He turned, his expression resolute. "No, I needed to see this. You were right all along." We stayed up past midnight discussing our options. Cancel the wedding? Proceed without a prenup? Confront Victoria publicly or privately? "Whatever we decide," said finally, "we do it together. No more divided loyalties." The next morning, Alex called Richard's office and requested all drafts of our prenup. The secretary informed him that Richard was meeting with Victoria and wouldn't be available until the afternoon. That single sentence confirmed everything. "They're still plotting," Alex said after hanging up, "even now." We spent the day formulating our response. By evening, we had a plan. Alex would request a meeting with Victoria and Richard at the notary's office, ostensibly to sign the final prenup version. I would attend with Diana. But instead of signing their document, we would present our evidence. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I asked. "They're still your family." "Family doesn't conspire to destroy someone's marriage," he replied firmly, "and they certainly don't try to manipulate me like I'm a child." The following day brought another surprise. Victoria called Alex directly. "Darling, I've had a wonderful idea," she gushed over speakerphone. "Let's finalize the prenup at Chatham House tomorrow. James has kindly offered to host, and the notary can come there. So much more civilized than some sterile office." Alex met my eyes across the kitchen. Chatham House was the Peterson family estate, private property, where Victoria would have more control over the situation. "Actually," Alex replied smoothly, "we've already scheduled with the notary at her office for Thursday at 10. More professional that way." A pause. "Thursday? That's so close to the wedding. Surely better to resolve this sooner." "Thursday works best for our schedules," Alex insisted. "We'll see you there." After he hung up, I raised an eyebrow. She's getting desperate. "Good," he said. "Let's keep her that way." The next afternoon, a courier delivered a package to our apartment, a revised prenup with a note from Victoria. "Final version for your review before Thursday. All reasonable adjustments have been made." We examined it together. The document appeared improved on the surface, with the most obvious controlling clauses removed. But Diana's careful analysis revealed the same restrictions now hidden in subparagraphs and cross-references. "They're still trying to deceive us," Alex said, his voice tight with anger. "They don't know that we know," I reminded him. "That's our advantage." That evening, Victoria called again, this time to inform us that Sophia, Margaret, and James would accompany them to the notary for moral support. "Bringing reinforcements?" I whispered as Alex spoke with her. He covered the phone. "She's building an audience, expects us to cave under social pressure." "Perfect," I smiled. "More witnesses to the truth." The night before our notary appointment, we made final preparations. Diana had helped us prepare a document of our own, a simplified, fair prenup that protected family inheritances without controlling behavior. We also organized our evidence: emails, document versions, metadata analysis, all professionally presented. As I organized the files, Alex watched me with admiration. "I've never seen this side of you before," he said. "The meticulous investigator." "It's who I've always been," I replied. "I just stopped showing it around your family because Victoria made it clear my career was unseemly for a Harrington wife." "I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening," he said, taking my hand. "Tomorrow, we set things right." That night, I barely slept. Not from anxiety, but anticipation. For months, Victoria had manipulated, belittled, and schemed against me. Tomorrow, everyone would see the truth. The Harrington family charter might hang on Victoria's wall, but it had no power over me anymore. As dawn broke, I selected my outfit carefully. A charcoal suit that projected authority, paired with a cream silk blouse. I applied minimal makeup and styled my hair in a sleek chignon. Professional, polished, powerful. Alex dressed with similar care in his best navy suit. As we gathered our documents, he took my hands. "Whatever happens today," he said, "I want you to know I choose you. Not my mother, not family expectations, not the Harrington legacy. You." I squeezed his hands, feeling a surge of certainty. "Then let's go face them together." The notary's office occupied the 15th floor of a downtown high-rise with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. I arrived with Alex and Diana at precisely 9:45, 15 minutes before our appointment. The receptionist directed us to Conference Room 3, a space designed to accommodate 12 people comfortably. "Your other party arrived early," she informed us. "They're already waiting inside." Alex and I exchanged glances. Of course, Victoria would arrive first to establish control of the environment. We took a moment in the hallway to center ourselves. "Ready?" Alex asked. I nodded, feeling surprisingly calm, completely ready. We entered to find Victoria, Richard, James Peterson, and 3 others already seated. Victoria sat at the head of the table, a position of authority. Richard sat to her right, a leather portfolio open before him. James Peterson occupied her left, while Sophia and Margaret sat together on the far side. A thin man I didn't recognize stood by the window. "Alexander, darling," Victoria rose, arms extended, "and Camilla, we were just discussing final arrangements." "I'm sure you were," Alex replied coolly, making no move to embrace her. "This is Diana Chen, Camilla's attorney." Victoria's smile faltered slightly as she assessed Diana. "I wasn't aware we needed additional counsel. Richard has handled everything." "Yes, he certainly has," I said, meeting her gaze directly. The notary, Miss Abernathy, entered behind us. "Good morning, everyone. I understand we're here to witness a prenuptial agreement?" "That's correct," Richard confirmed, extracting documents from his portfolio. "We have copies prepared for all parties." "Actually," Diana interjected smoothly, "we should clarify which version we're signing today. There seem to have been several drafts circulating." Victoria's smile remained fixed. "Richard has the final version we all agreed upon." "Do we?" Alex asked, his voice carrying unexpected authority. "Mother, when did I agree to the behavior clauses hidden in subparagraphs 23 through 29? The room fell silent. Victoria's eyes darted to Richard, who cleared his throat. "There may be some confusion, Alexander. Perhaps we should review the document together." "No confusion," I said, opening my laptop. "We have every version tracked with metadata showing exactly who made which changes, when they were made, and which versions were shown to which parties." The thin man by the window stepped forward. "I'm Gregory Wallace, managing partner at Wallace & Stern. Perhaps we should discuss this privately before proceeding." "Why privately?" Alex asked. "If everything is above board, we can discuss it here." Victoria's composure slipped slightly. "Alexander, this hostility is unnecessary. We're trying to protect family interests, as we've done for generations." "Are family interests served by deceiving me?" Alex placed his hand on the table. "By creating one version for me to approve and another for Camilla to sign?" "That's an outrageous accusation," Richard blustered. "Is it?" I turned my laptop screen toward the table and projected it onto the wall screen. "This email from you to Victoria, dated March 15th, discusses exactly that strategy." The email appeared enlarged on the screen, Richard's own words damning him. "Alexander has approved the baseline version without these additions." Color drained from Richard's face. Victoria's mouth tightened to a thin line. "Where did you get that?" she demanded. "Document metadata contains email quotes," I explained professionally. "As a compliance officer, I'm trained to follow evidence trails." Everything here was obtained legally through proper channels. "This is absurd," Victoria declared, standing abruptly. "We won't be ambushed like this." "Please sit down, Mother," Alex said firmly. "We're just getting started." Diana distributed copies of a document. "This is the email correspondence regarding the prenuptial agreement between Victoria Harrington, Richard Harrington, and James Peterson over the past 3 months. You'll find it illuminating." Sophia picked up the packet, her eyes widening as she read. Margaret looked uncomfortable. James Peterson stared fixedly at the table. Page 4, paragraph 2, Alex suggested. Mother, would you like to explain why you told James that Eliza was willing to reconnect with Alexander once this unfortunate episode concludes? Victoria paled. That's taken out of context. What possible context would justify that statement? I asked. The room felt charged with tension. Miss Abernathy, the notary, cleared her throat. Perhaps I should step out while you resolve these issues. Please stay, I requested. As an official witness, your presence matters. Victoria's control finally cracked. This is outrageous! You've been spying on private communications. No, Victoria, I corrected calmly. I've been protecting myself from your manipulation. The same manipulation you've used against your son for years. Don't be dramatic, she scoffed. Alexander understands family obligations. I understand them now, Alex replied, his voice steady. My obligation is to the woman I'm choosing to marry, not to control mechanisms disguised as tradition. Richard attempted damage control. Perhaps we've had a misunderstanding. We can draft a new agreement that addresses everyone's concerns. We already have. Diana produced our simplified prenup. This protects legitimate family assets while removing all behavior control mechanisms. Victoria didn't even look at it. This is your doing, she hissed at me. You've turned my son against his family. No, Mother, Alex interjected. Your actions did that. The conspiracy against Camilla, the manipulation, the lies. Everything I did was for your protection, Victoria insisted. She doesn't understand our world, our responsibilities. What I understand, I said, standing to face her directly, is that you were willing to sabotage your son's happiness to maintain control. You never intended to accept me, regardless of what I did. Victoria's facade finally shattered completely. Because you're not worthy of the Harrington name. You're a middle-class nobody with delusions of adequacy. The prenup was designed to ensure you couldn't take advantage of our position when this marriage inevitably fails. The room fell silent at her outburst. Sophia gasped. Gregory Wallace winced visibly. Even Richard looked shocked at Victoria's candor. Alex stood slowly, his expression tight with controlled anger. Thank you for finally being honest, Mother. Now let me be honest with you. Camilla is the woman I'm going to marry, with or without your blessing, with or without your prenup. You can't be serious, Victoria whispered. Completely serious, Alex confirmed. In fact, we've made some decisions. First, we're postponing the wedding until it can be replanned without your interference. Second, we're signing this fair prenup today with Miss Abernathy as witness. Third, you will no longer have any involvement in our personal decisions. Victoria looked around the room, seeking allies, but found none. Even Richard avoided her gaze. If you do this, she threatened, there will be consequences. Like what? Alex challenged. Financial manipulation? I earn my own living. Social ostracism? I'd rather have honest friends than manipulative family. What exactly can you threaten me with, now that I can see the truth? Victoria had no answer. For perhaps the first time in her adult life, she had lost control of a situation completely. Sophia unexpectedly broke the silence. Aunt Victoria, this is wrong. What you did, it's wrong. Victoria whirled on her. Don't you dare judge me. Everything I've done has been to protect this family. No, Alex contradicted. Everything you've done has been to protect your control over this family. There's a difference. Miss Abernathy cleared her throat. Would you like to proceed with signing the new agreement, or shall I return another day? Alex looked at me, raising an eyebrow in question. I nodded. We'll proceed, he told the notary. As Diana guided us through the signing process, Victoria, Richard, and James conferred in whispers. Gregory Wallace approached them, his expression grave. The atmosphere in the room had shifted completely. The power had transferred from Victoria to us. When we finished signing, Alex addressed the room. We appreciate everyone's time today. Miss Abernathy has provided official copies for both parties. We consider this matter resolved. Victoria stood, gathering her belongings with trembling hands. This isn't over, Alexander. Actually, it is, he replied calmly. You have a choice now. Accept our boundaries and eventually rebuild a healthier relationship with us, or continue these tactics and lose me entirely. She left without another word, Richard following close behind. James Peterson approached us awkwardly. Alexander, I want to apologize. I shouldn't have participated in this. No, you shouldn't have, Alex agreed, but I appreciate the acknowledgement. As people filtered out, Sophia lingered. For what it's worth, she said quietly, I didn't know the extent of what was happening. I'm sorry, Camilla. I nodded, not quite ready to forgive, but acknowledging her gesture. When everyone had gone except Diana, Alex turned to me with a smile that held equal parts relief and sadness. That was intense. It was necessary, I replied, squeezing his hand. What now? He asked. Now we rebuild, on our terms. 6 months later, we married in a ceremony that reflected us, not Victoria's vision or the Harrington traditions. We held it at the Boston Public Library, surrounded by books and history. 75 guests attended, including Sophia, who had distanced herself from Victoria's influence. Richard came without Victoria. Alex's father's sister Elizabeth, long estranged from the family, returned for the occasion. Victoria did not attend. She had made her choice. Our relationship with the Harrington family evolved into something more distant but healthier. Alex established firm boundaries. Some family members respected them, others did not, and faded from our lives. The Harrington family charter no longer held any power over us. Instead, we created our own family values, written in my calligraphy and framed in our home. It spoke of honesty, mutual respect, and the courage to stand against manipulation. On our first anniversary, we gathered with friends on our rooftop garden. As sunset painted the Boston skyline in gold and crimson, Alex raised a toast. To boundaries that protect what matters, he said, and to the woman who taught me what family should really mean. I lifted my glass, looking around at the genuine connections we'd built. Victoria had tried to force me into her mold or drive me away. Instead, she had lost her power over both of us. The document I'd shown at the notary's office hadn't just exposed her schemes. It had freed us to create the life we truly wanted. Sometimes, the most valuable thing you can learn is that you deserve better. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to accept less.